All right, let's get into it. Have you ever read something that feels less like a story and more like a feeling? Like it perfectly captures that weird static of modern life. The strange gaps, the awkward silences, that feeling of just being a little out of step with everything. Well, today, we are stepping right into the middle of that, into the unique and deliberately fractured world of the amazing author, Deborah Levy.
We're digging into her collection of short stories, Black Vodka. And this quote on the cover from The Observer absolutely nails it. Levy's pen is a flying weapon. I mean, that's exactly it. Her writing is so sharp, so precise. There are no wasted words. It finds its target and leaves a mark.
And this right here, this is really the heart of what we're talking about today. Michelle Roberts, who wrote the foreword, puts it just perfectly. Levy's work takes that fragmentation we all feel, those little disconnects in our day, and she just blows them up. She doesn't try to solve them or smooth them over. No, she puts them under a microscope, making us see our own weird, disjointed lives in a totally new and powerful way.
So, first up, let's talk about how these stories act as a kind of mirror to our modern lives. Now, if you're looking for a simple, straightforward plot, beginning, middle, end, this might not be for you. Levy is way more interested in capturing a mood, an anxiety, or that strange, unspoken energy that can happen between two people in a room.
And this really gets to the core of what makes her characters tick. They are almost always in between. They're in transit, not just physically, but emotionally. They exist in these liminal spaces, between countries, between relationships, caught between the person they used to be and the person they might become. And it's that feeling, that constant state of being unsettled, that makes these stories feel so incredibly current and, let's be honest, so relatable.
Okay, so let's see how that builds into our next big theme, what I'm calling the art of not belonging. This is where we meet the classic Levy protagonist. They're usually outsiders, right? Brilliant observers who are always kind of standing at the edge of the party, watching everything but never really joining the dance.
In the title story, Black Vodka, the narrator uses these three blunt words to describe how he was seen when he was a kid. Deformed, different, weird. It's so stark. See, Levy isn't afraid of making us uncomfortable. She puts that feeling of physical and emotional alienation front and center, making us really look at what it means to be labeled as other. And this isn't just a one-off thing. Oh no, this idea echoes across the entire collection. We meet an advertising writer with a hunchback, a company director whose severe eczema is like a map of his inner chaos, a man living in exile in a boarding house in Vienna, and even a young woman who feels like a primitive cave girl just dropped into the 21st century. They are all, in their own unique ways, not quite at home, not in their own skin, and not in the world around them. The narrator of Black Vodka just lays it all out for us with this line. For Levy's characters, feeling like an outsider isn't some phase they're going through. It's a skill they've been taught. It's a craft they've had to master just to get by. It's the very lens through which they see the entire world. So if these characters are all outsiders, how do they even connect with other people? Well, that brings us to our third idea, the notion that relationships in Levy's world are basically a form of archaeology. People don't really fall in love. They sort of excavate each other.
In that same title story, our narrator is fascinated by this woman named Lisa, who happens to be a literal archaeologist. And this is just a brilliant metaphor for the whole collection. She tells him her job is a way of uncovering a past. And almost instantly, he has this realization that she's looking at him like he's some ancient ruin that she wants to dig up.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Are all of her characters doing this? Is every interaction just an attempt to unearth the history, the damage, the story that's buried just beneath the surface of another person?
Let's break it down. When you put them side by side, the contrast is so clear. A traditional love story is all about emotional intimacy, building a shared future. But in Levy's world, connection is driven by this almost clinical curiosity about someone's past. It's less about finding mutual understanding and way more about the strange, sometimes unsettling power dynamic between the observer and the observed. This obsession with the past leads us right into our fourth big theme. Because in Deborah Levy's universe, the past is not something you leave behind. Not at all. It's an active, breathing thing that is constantly barging into the present. It's like a ghost sitting at the dinner table.
Just listen to this line from the narrator in Black Vodka. His past isn't just a memory he thinks about. It's a place his dreams drag him back to, night after night. And notice how disorienting it is. He's in Warsaw, but somehow on a train to his English hometown. The past and the present are just collapsing in on each other.
And we see it again so powerfully in the story's Stardust Nation. This character, Nick Gazidis, is on vacation and having a total breakdown. He calls his boss in the middle of the night and just blurts out this traumatic memory. It's not backstory he's sharing, it's an eruption. It's a piece of his past violently breaking through into the here and now.
So what does all this do to the reader? Well, memory becomes this haunting presence. It completely blurs the line between what's real and what's being remembered, and it creates this constant low-level disorientation for the characters and, honestly, for us too. The past is never, ever really past.
Okay, let's start pulling all of these threads together. We've got the fragmentation, the outsiders, the archaeological relationships, and this past that just won't stay put. So, what does it all mean? What is Levy's fractured worldview ultimately showing us?
Right in the middle of his breakdown, Nick Gazidis says this incredibly strange and beautiful thing to his boss. "We are Stardust, Tom." And that quote, it just feels both huge and cosmic, but also so deeply personal. It suggests that even when we are at our most broken and isolated, we are all fundamentally made of the same ancient, fragmented stuff. We are connected, even in our disconnection. So if you're going to take anything away from this, it's these four things. 1. Levy shows us that life isn't a neat, straight line. It's fragmented. 2. We are all, in some way, outsiders looking in. 3. Our relationships are often these complex acts of digging into each other's histories. And finally, number 4, the past is never, ever done with us. And that brings us right back to where we started, with Michelle Roberts' idea of a mirror. Reading these stories really is like looking into a cracked, shining mirror. You don't get a single, clear reflection back. Instead, you catch these fascinating glimpses of who you are, who you used to be, and all the other different people you could still become. And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. Levy's work is this incredible tool for looking inward. It doesn't hand you any easy answers, but man, it asks some fascinating questions. So, when you look into the mirror of these stories, what fractured, possible, different version of yourself do you see?